We're Andy and Jenna, better known as a couple travelers.
We've spent the last 5 years exploring the world, covering everything across theme parks, cruises, and resorts.
In our last series, Jenna attended a sneak peek of Universal Epic Universe, the newest theme park in Orlando.
Now, we're taking a trip across the pond for an incredible 15-day adventure in Europe, with stops in England, Belgium, and Norway.
Today, we're showing you how to pack for a Norwegian Fjords cruise.
So sad to be disembarking tomorrow from the Celebrity Apex after our Norwegian Fjords cruise. It has been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So as we are kind of repacking to be able to take everything with us after a 15-day trip to Europe, thought it would be helpful to go through what we packed for this trip to Norway and what was essential, what could we have left at home to make it easier for you to pack for your own Norwegian cruise.
And this is the first in a whole series of videos from this 15-day trip that you guys just heard about in the intro. But if you want to be the first to see these videos when they come out on YouTube, make sure you sign up for our Patreon. That's something relatively new for a couple travelers. We just started it as a new way to support the channel. So if you're interested in supporting us and getting early access to all of our YouTube videos before they come out to the general public, make sure you sign up at the link in the video description below. And in addition, the packing list that Jenna will be talking about will be released exclusively to Patreon members. So if you want your own copy of that packing list, we'll be releasing that on Patreon to all of our members, so make sure you sign up to get that.
We also, depending on what tier of Patreon you select, we do giveaways. So we purchased some things in London and in Norway to give away to our loyal followers, which is really exciting. We also will shout you out at the end of every video, so go take a look at the tiers if you're interested. But if you happen to see this and you haven't already booked your cruise to Norway, or if you just recently booked in the last month or so, definitely reach out to me, because you are paying the same price to work with a travel agent as you are if you go directly to Celebrity, Royal Caribbean, or any of the other cruise lines. But then you have a travel agent who is a resource to help you along the way, making sure you're getting the right itinerary, a good room, making sure you're getting the best deal, making sure you have helpful information specific to your cruise line, recommendations for excursions, the list goes on and on. So if you're interested in reaching out to me, you can scan this QR code here, or you can reach out to my email address, which will be in the video description below. So I'm gonna start off shouting out a couple of things that we bring on a cruise, regardless of where we are going in the world. The first thing is, we like to bring our own liquid hand soap. This sounds so weird. It's something we started doing maybe 2 years ago, and it is a game changer. Every single cruise ship that we have been on gives you bar soap to use in your stateroom. I don't know about you, but a week of using bar soap on your hands, the amount of times you wash your hands on a cruise ship, it is so much easier. We just put this in our bag, and then you obviously leave it here, so you have a little bit more room in your luggage going home, but highly recommend this. We also have these luggage tag holders. We bought these on Amazon, and I'll put a link to our Amazon storefront in the video description. So a lot of the things that I'm gonna be mentioning here, you can go and purchase for yourself through that link. It helps support our channel as well, so that's much appreciated. But this one is specifically one for Royal Caribbean and Celebrity. So everybody gets a luggage tag about 30 days before you're sailing, has your stateroom number, you write your name on it, and you staple this to your luggage for them to bring it to your stateroom on the first day. Very easy that it could get ripped off of your luggage. So we bought these, we've had them for years, they hold up really well, and it just kind of assures that it's not gonna be taken off your luggage by accident. We also like to have a lanyard on hand as well for our SeaPass card. You will need your SeaPass card on you at all times on a cruise, so it's just very convenient to wear this around your neck, especially when getting on and off the ship, where you're gonna have to scan in and scan out. It's just nice to have it around your neck and not have to be like searching in your bag for it. So we highly recommend this.
And depending on the type of cruise, like we're seeing that we're on a Celebrity cruise right now, and lanyards aren't as popular. You can see these are Royal Caribbean lanyards, but you can just clip off the bottom part and keep that in your pocket.
So like if we didn't feel like taking this, we would just clip this, and I put it into my like little purse to go out to dinner and stuff. So very easy to do that. but I feel like everybody on Royal Caribbean had them, and maybe like 5% of people had them on Celebrity. But I like it. It works for me. I wore it around my neck when I was getting on and off the ship, and that's just what I prefer. And you may not know this, but the cruise ship walls are metal. And so we always like to travel with little hooks. And this really helps kind of declutter the very little countertop space that you have in the room on top of dressers and whatnot. So we just have like a 10 pack or something of these. So we hang up our lanyards, we hang up hats, anything we can think of. They do also sell bigger ones as well that can hold more weight. So if you want to have like hold up small bags and stuff to get things out of the way, but highly recommend this. It really helps to keep your small room organized.
And they're not just hooks, they're magnetic hooks, obviously, specifically.
Yes, exactly. There's a magnet here, which is what allows it to stick. The other thing we bring on all cruise ships are various adapters, and I'm gonna let Andy talk about these because this is definitely his area of expertise.
Yeah, so most modern cruise ships will have North American outlets as well as European outlets, which is the adapter that Jenna is holding in her right hand.
Prongs.
On the Celebrity Apex specifically, they have a North American outlet on at least on one side of the bed, and then a couple of USB ports. And then they actually have this charging box, which I'll take you over to now.
Come this way.
So this charging box is on the dresser next to the desk, and what we found, you could see, so they have a European port, 2 universal ports, and then 2 USB-A ports. So this adapter, and this is linked in our Amazon storefront as well, fits perfectly fine in the in the European port, and then this one fits in perfectly as well. So the Tesson ones and this universal one does fine. We also have this Anchor one, which is a little bit larger, and that doesn't fit in here too well. The other thing to keep in mind is that depending on which one you get, you might not be able to use all of them next to each other, because you could see it kind of, it's too big to fit the space. Honestly, if you have, like, we're a rare situation, we have a lot of stuff to charge.
Much gear, yeah.
So if you're bringing this and this to charge, like a camera and an iPad and a couple phones, like, you'll be more than okay, especially with the stuff by the bed. But I think for the average passenger on a ship, plenty of charging space. But if you want a little bit of extra, option, just bring 1 or 2 of these and you should be more than fine.
And those will be linked in our Amazon storefront as well. And one other miscellaneous thing that we've recently started traveling with is a little white noise machine that is, rechargeable. And we actually use white noise at home, like through our Google Home. When we sleep, we've gotten so used to it. So it is great to travel with this, especially if you're a family in a room. If someone snores or something, it helps like drown it out if you don't want to fall asleep with the TV on, which is so bright in such a small space. So this is something we recommend as well. I can't remember off the top of my head if I got this on Amazon or TikTok shop, but
I'll put a note in the video as to where you could find it.
Exactly. So that's kind of just cruise specific things that I'd recommend you pack for your cruise to Norway. The next thing is just waterproof things. So typically you could have weather, 40s, 50s, 60 degree Fahrenheit.
We never got out of the 50s when we've been here.
Correct, but we have had, as the crew has announced many times, we were the hottest day in Bruges of the season. We were the only sunny day in Geiranger. 1 of every 10 days in Geiranger is not rainy, and we were the beautiful not rainy day. We did have rain in Flam for the first few hours of the day, and then we had some, even though it wasn't on the radar, we did have some pop-up showers in Bergen yesterday. And I think it's worth mentioning, the weather is constantly changing. So in one of our ports, it's like we were in gear, raincoats, hat in the morning, and we're taking it off later in the day. So you could be checking the weather for your trip while you're at home and packing, and by the time you're on the trip, and even as we're getting closer to certain ports, the weather is constantly adjusting and changing. So you need to be prepared for everything. And I think the most important thing is that you have at least a waterproof pair of shoes and a waterproof coat. That is like bare minimum that you will need. So I had just it's a light north face so that if it is warm but rainy, I'll still be comfortable. And there's plenty of room underneath for lots of layering, because I think that's the key here, is layering. And then these were the waterproof shoes that I got. I bought these before Alaska. Didn't need them in Alaska, needed them here in Norway. These are just Skechers. I actually bought these on Amazon, so they are linked, but these were great when it was raining. So again, waterproof coat and shoes. So some people want waterproof pants as well. Wasn't necessary, in our opinion, to account for that. And then we also brought a tiny umbrella that's easy to fit into a bag. And then we also just had these like dollar store ponchos in case it got, you know, really bad and we needed this in a pinch. So always good to have that, especially because there wasn't any rain on the forecast in Bergen yesterday, and then it randomly popped up. And of course, since we looked at the weather, I was like, we're gonna be fine. I took these out of my bag that morning, and that was a big mistake. So regardless, this is so light and small. Put it in your bag that you take off the ship and just leave it there the entire time. So if there's rain, you at least are covered.
And depending on your cruise line and what type of stateroom you have, some cruise lines might even have umbrellas for you in their stateroom. So for example, we're in concierge class here on the Celebrity Apex, and as part of that, they have umbrellas included in your closet in your stateroom, so you could take those when you go into port.
They also have binoculars in our concierge room as well, and that is something that is on the packing list, and is also something, we have a pair that we bought and brought with us to Alaska. I didn't bother bringing it here since I knew it was going to be in the stateroom, so that's just another thing I'd recommend bringing if you're coming to Norway. Then besides the waterproof things, it can be cold. So I recommend a hat, scarf, gloves situation. We're from New England, we're used to cold winters. So unless it's really cold, we typically don't need. I'd only brought a hat. I didn't bother with the scarf and gloves and everything because I knew it wouldn't get to be like 20 or 30 degrees, like where we would really need it. So depending, I mean, if you're from Florida, you might need all of those things when coming to Norway. So use your discretion. I think it's always better to pack it and be safe than sorry. So that was all Norway essentials in my opinion. Then there are kind of other essentials that you need to pack. First is your passport. You need to have this for the cruise. You also need to make sure you have, you know, your wallet with credit cards, cash. You need your health insurance cards, all of your travel documents, anything you booked, bring the confirmation with you. It'll be helpful. And lastly, any medication that you need for the trip. I would make sure that you have all of those items in your carry-on bag, whatever you're gonna walk onto the ship with, make sure it's not in the bag that you're leaving. With the porters, when you arrive to the port, to be brought onto the ship, you need to have everything on you, on your person. Now let's talk clothing. You know, we obviously talked about all those waterproof things and hats and gloves and scarves and all of that, but obviously then you need to pack for clothes. I think it's really important that you pack a good variety of clothes. Even though we're going somewhere that's a colder destination, we still need things like bathing suits and shorts and swimsuit cover-ups to get, you know, to the pool, and the solarium that has an indoor jacuzzi and pool. You still are coming from Southampton typically, which is going to be warm because it's the summer there. So you're going to need warmer clothes and shoes for that because you're going to most likely be coming in at least a few days before your cruise. It's the golden rule of cruising to not fly in the day of, but especially when you're coming to a destination like Southampton, which is so close to London. We actually did an entire week in London before our cruise to Norway. And so we needed to kind of strategically pack for two very different types of weather. So you need both your short and your long pants. You need t-shirts and long sleeve shirts and sweaters. And also keeping in mind that you're gonna most likely be in casual clothes going on, you know, excursions and whatnot, but then you're going to come back on the ship, and at least with the cruise line like Celebrity, it's a little bit dressier up at night, so you're going to need, you know, long pants and button downs or polos or dresses, and so you're really kind of packing a little bit of everything. So it's really important to be strategic, figuring out, you know, what you can rewear, what you can have either washed on the ship if that's of interest, but really a variety is needed. Again, if you want a full packing list with everything listed out down to like bras and underwear, etc., you're gonna wanna sign up for Patreon to get your hands on that packing list. So yes, this is a lot of clothing that you need to bring. So packing cubes are definitely the way to like maximize your space in your suitcase. These are some that we got on Amazon. We both have our own set, so very easy to pack. But my favorite thing about these is that it actually comes with a laundry bag, and so it's very good to, you know, like put dirty underwear and socks in and stuff. So I like that that was included. We find it very useful when we are traveling to have these packing cubes. Again, these are on our Amazon storefront. Love these. And so in addition to clothing, you obviously need a variety of shoes. I already talked about the waterproof shoes that you will need. These are all the shoes I brought for 15 days in Europe, so I think this isn't that bad, especially because a lot of them are like small. So we have the waterproof shoes. I brought 2 different options for sneakers, which were especially great in London. And these Tevas were a game changer for walking around London as well. I don't get blisters with these, and they're generally so comfortable, even doing like 20,000 steps a day. So I loved those. These were my flip-flops for going like to and from the pool, you know, going to grab a coffee in the morning, etc. And these were like my nicer sandals. They're not honestly that nice, but it's fine for what I needed. But I just wear those with like dresses in the evening, and that's what worked really well for me. So I went the 15 days with 6 pairs of shoes. Andy, I think, had a similar number. He had his flip-flops.
Sure, right here.
And then these were the rest of his shoes. So you had 7 pairs.
Yeah, I'm a Hey Dude collector now.
Can you tell?
I mean, I think in you know, looking back, I could have left, you know, maybe 1 or 2 of the nicer pairs at home, but these are actually great. These are a new version of Hey Dudes. They're I think the H2 Goes, but they're essentially waterproof. And I wore these in Flam when it was rainy, and the water, when I stepped in a puddle, it just drained out through the bottom. It was really great, and they're still in really good condition after walking around the mud and everything. But I have, you know, casual pair, a little bit of a couple nicer pairs for, you know, wearing to dinner, and then a pair of sneakers as well.
So I think we could have done like maybe 1 or 2 less pairs if we weren't doing so much time in London first, and we were just kind of coming on this portion of the trip. I still think it was a manageable amount. In addition to all of your clothing, I think it's important to make sure that you have a backpack on you as well. So obviously it's good for carrying, you know, that being your carry-on bag onto the ship, but it's also useful for when you're in port as well, to carry everything with you that you're gonna need for the day, and of course to have something to put your souvenirs in as you're walking around. Besides a backpack, the other thing that you may need is like purses in general. I actually had this bag that I got right before the trip, and it's been wonderful. This acted as like my purse in London. It's what I used for almost all of the excursions except for one when we had like a lot of camera gear that day. So this was good. And then for nighttime, when we were like going to dinner and going to shows and stuff, I made sure to have some options to just put like my CPass card and my phone and like a lip gloss or hand sanitizer, whatever, for the day. So definitely recommend that. And then some things that we make sure to have in our bags when we're getting off the ship especially is we always have sunglasses, so we bring a couple of pairs with us. And then I'm sure like when you're coming to a destination like Norway, you're gonna wanna have a nice camera on you. So if you have one at home, this is definitely the type of trip you wanna be bringing things like this on. We also travel with a GoPro. We have a 360 camera, we have the camera Andy's currently filming on, but anything that you think you would need to capture your vacation, definitely make sure you have that on you, and you have like the right protective cases and whatnot to put into your bag for the excursion. And then the final section of the packing list is toiletries. So I won't go through everything, but I travel with a Vera Bradley toiletry bag that kind of opens up, and I hang it on the door to the bathroom in our stateroom, which is very handy. I put all of my like shampoo, etc., and all of our miscellaneous things when we travel. Honestly, I never unpack this. I always just make sure it's fully stocked, but we have like Advil and sleep medicine and Neosporin and Band-Aids and like anything you could really think of that you may need when you travel. We just always have that in here. I also travel, of course, with like skincare and makeup, and then all of my like hair stuff, hair straightener, curling iron. We always have a variety of sunscreen, wrinkle release spray, hand sanitizer, always comes with us. We rarely even unpack that.
Wrinkle release spray is probably a better idea even for a cruise because they don't have irons.
Right, that's a safety thing, and you can't bring on like a little steamer or anything that will be confiscated, so don't even try. And the only other thing I want to mention for packing to Norway is that you are going to purchase a lot of souvenirs. So when you are packing at home, do not go on the trip with all of your suitcases stuffed to the brim. And I know that's hard because you need so many different things, but I think the important thing here is to leave at least a little bit of room because you're gonna buy things. So this is everything we got in 15 days in Europe, and so I don't think it's that bad. This is all full of like trolls and magnets and like stuff. Lots of chocolate from Belgium, lots of, you know, little things here, cute little houses from Bergen. We didn't thankfully get anything super bulky. Actually, you also have your Ted Lasso sweatshirt.
Yeah.
So not too bad, but.
And you have a Ted Lasso hat.
And I have a Ted Lasso hat. Yes, not too bad, but again, this is taking up room in one of our suitcases, so you need to make sure that you have that room and or are willing to like depart with things like bottles of sunscreen and things that would take up room and add weight to your travel. So hopefully that was really detailed for you to pack for your cruise to Norway. If you have any questions, definitely leave us a comment below. We'll get back to you. And if this video was helpful, be sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, especially for more London and Norway content.